Switching gears here, and it looks like Rick can read into the future here.
Yes, sir.
We were actually going to bring this up. Ekman-Larsson has been bought out. And let's go into it. Ekman-Larsson has the final 4 years of his contract bought out by the Canucks. Defenseman had the fewest points since his rookie season in the 2010-2011 season, and will become a free agent July 1st. I think, to put it mildly, it has not gone well for him in the later part of his career, especially with the Canucks. They brought him in like hoping he'd be at least a good number 2, and it just really hasn't panned out. In 2018, he signed an 8-year, $66 million contract, an 8.25 annual cap hit. And this is what the general manager, Alvin, had to say. We would like to thank Oliver for the time he spent in Vancouver. The business of hockey is very complex and tough decisions have to be made if you want to remain competitive. Buying out Oliver gives us more flexibility and cap space the next couple of years and significantly reduces his hit in the subsequent seasons. It is our expectation that following this year, the cap will raise considerably, making this the right time to execute this buyout. Our organization is committed to do whatever it needs to improve, get better on and off the ice, and move forward in a positive direction. So that's just being very nice and putting it mildly. Like, he's just not the same player he used to be. And let's kind of share this tab here, right? So Ekman-Larsson here. I'm just making sure it's here on StreamYard. Yep, it is. Next season, against the cap, it's going to be $146,667 for the Canucks. But then after that, the year after that, $2.3 million. Then after that, 4.7. Then 4.7 again. Then 2.1. Then 2.1. So for the next 6 years, he will be affecting their cap space. And while I like, obviously he's definitely not been a great player for the Canucks, and I'm putting that very gently. I mean, do you think buying him out now is the best thing?
I definitely think that for the sake of their franchise, yes, right? Because obviously they're going through a lot of turmoil, firing their coach, getting a new coach, and trying to figure out the direction that the team should go in, changing the locker room. Obviously, towards the end of the season, I don't believe they had a captain anymore. They took the C off. So there's a lot of things going on in Vancouver, and getting rid of some of the dead weight is definitely a step in the right direction, right? You realize he's not a fit for what you're trying to do, what you're trying to accomplish, and his big price tag is preventing you from doing other things. So yeah, you sacrifice some price tag, some of your cap for the next couple of years, but it begins the stabilization of what your franchise needs to get done. True. And maybe it's a step in the right direction. Obviously, we can't see the future, so it's one of those things that you hope it's a step in the right direction, and only time will tell whether it was or was not. Yeah. Now, as far as the player himself, I mean, he's been a very loyal player. He's only played for 2 teams. He played for the Coyotes forever. Basically, since 2010, 2011, since that season, he played with them all the way up to the 2021 season when he finally ended up getting moved to Vancouver. Yep. So he only knows very little about any other team. Those 2 teams, and for me, his numbers have always been pretty good numbers, but maybe he needs to take a step back and say, you know what, I'm not the top caliber guy. Maybe I need to take a lower contract and, play on a third defensive pairing for a different team, because he can still produce points. Even this season, he put up 22 points. There's a lot of defensemen that just can't even put up even close to that.
Well, in 54 games, 2 goals, 20 assists for 22 points, and a minus 24. Now, some people could point out that he's a minus 128 in his career, but I would argue he was on the Coyotes. If you watched him in his prime, he was a phenomenal defenseman, and he was definitely worth the price of admission. I think his best year was 55 points in 2015, 2016, but he never really was on a contender. If you really look at it, he was on the Yotes, and then the Canucks have been kind of going through this constant rebuild because I think that core has just not achieved what it should be achieving. I agree with you, though. I think if he gets into a new scenery, like a new place, new destination with a lesser role, maybe making a mil or two, he could thrive in a third pairing defense situation. He's only 31 years old. He's not that ancient yet. Yeah, it looks like he's lost a step or two, but he's 6'2", 200 pounds. He could still be an effective third pairing guy. Will his ego allow him to be that? That's to be seen. But I think after being in some organizations that have not really been winning, I think he could go to a good team and start winning games in a third pair role. I'd actually agree with you on that philosophy. For him, that would probably be the best case scenario.
Yeah.
Going to a place where it's not expected to be the 1, the 2, or even the 3 or 4, and maybe take a 1 year, 2 year deal and kind of revitalize his career.
Yep.
So.
Yep.
Anything else to say before we switch to the next one?
Yeah, no, I mean, depth is a very important part to a lot of these teams, as we can see that Vegas had a lot of depth compared to some other teams, and having a third defensive pairing that has someone like Ekman-Larsson, right, that can put up points, that can help offensively, contribute in that fashion, that's key, right? Because top lines are going to cancel each other out. So your top 2 lines are normally going to cancel each other out. It's the third and fourth line that really kind of make a difference when you get to a certain point in your season. And having someone like that can, again, put up points, yeah, that's going to be huge. You know what I mean? So for
Absolutely.
him, I definitely hope that he realizes that he needs to not expect to get a lot of money, but to find the right fit to have his career kind of revitalize a little bit.